It's up to caucus members to decide that. I would certainly encourage my colleagues to wait for the race to get underway a little bit to know what everybody stands for and what we're putting forward. But what I can say is I'm getting calls from people right across the country who are joining the party, sometimes for the first time or rejoining because they're excited about it, about me running. So at the end of the day, it's one member, one vote, and my job as one of the candidates, like all of us, is to convince Liberal members that we're the best person for the job.
You see, it looks like a movement of the party establishment to run for Mr. Carney, and you seem to be getting a lot of younger people.
Yeah.
That kind of leaves Ms. Freeland out in the cold, doesn't it?
Well, look, it's up to all of us to convince people that we're the right person for the job. And I have to say, like, I am so buoyed by the support that I'm getting from young people across the country. But, Bob, it's not just young people. I'm hearing from people of every generation, every background who really feel hopeful about the fact that I'm running and feel hopeful for the first time about the future of the country in a long time. And that's something that makes me excited, too.
If you're successful, one of your first big jobs will be dealing with President Trump. At Davos, he was talking about the need for NATO spending to go up to 5% of GDP, and also saying if Canada wants to avoid tariffs, just become a state and they go away. How would you handle the Trump administration, especially with that NATO ask coming in now?
Well, first of all, Canada will never become the 51st state of the United States. We are a proud, sovereign country, and that's who we are. And there is no doubt in my mind that for every single Canadian, that is first and foremost. And let me be very clear, our sovereignty is non-negotiable, and it will never be on the table. When it comes to NATO, okay, well, the U.S. is not at 5% either. So look, I think we are definitely in a world where we need to make sure that we have adequate defense spending. We are in a whole different geopolitical context than we were even 5 years ago. And so I think this is something that we're going to have to talk about as NATO members in terms of what that means. Canada still has a ways to go when it comes to getting to 2%. We've committed to doing that. But we also need to address some of the challenges in our armed forces. Look, our CAF personnel, they are not paid adequately and sufficiently, and that's one of the issues that we have when it comes to recruitment and when it comes to retention. We also need to address our procurement. One of the things that I would do immediately is appoint a procurement czar, because it takes too long for us to get the defense equipment that we need. And then, of course, we have to have a conversation with our allies about what our Western defense alliance looks like in the face of what are more aggressive actors around the world. So these are things that we absolutely have to be talking about, and I think it's really important for our military personnel to know that if I was the leader of the Liberal Party, if I was the Prime Minister, that I would have their backs, because they've had our backs so many times.
On party renewal, Ms. Freeland came out today and said that the next Liberal leader, caucus, should have the ability to initiate a leadership review to replace the leader, so the situation that happened with Justin Trudeau doesn't happen again. What do you make of that idea?
Well, look, the Michael Chong bill is something that caucus decides. When we were elected in 2015, that was one of the requirements after an election. And, I'm not going to make a pronouncement one way or the other, because at the end of the day, that is a caucus decision.
If elected, you talked about the GST continuing that break on it for certain items. Why not keep it for all items on the list that the government currently has?
Because I'm not sure that we need a permanent GST cut on Christmas trees and Hanukkah bushes, by the way. I don't actually know that many people that have Hanukkah bushes.